Welcome back to the Passionate Pivot. I'm Danielle Frank.
And I am Nikki Wright Rudolph.
Nikki said she is hoarse this morning.
Yeah, I feel a little, I'm going to have some coffee.
Bring the mic closer to you. Maybe that'll help. But we both got our warm beverages. I've got my coffee. I get my coffee. And I'm assuming you have tea or coffee?
No, that's coffee, girl.
And neither of us slept well last night either.
Up running around in our dreams. And yeah, I was kind of like walking the social media streets.
Oh, can I tell you something that happened to me? And of course, the landscaper is coming by right now. Isn't this the way it always is? But I have been getting, and this is completely off topic on the actual episode today, but I have been getting random comments on a post I made 3 months ago on Instagram that are kind of like hater type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like going, what are you doing? You're not telling the truth. And I'm like, what the heck? Why would I lie? Like, it was very bizarre. It's the one where I talk about 2 years ago. I hadn't done any kind of I was using Dysport and stuff. Someone saying, you're lying. You're using Botox. That's a Botox forehead. I'm like, really? That someone saying you're using a filter. No, I'm just using the rear, the camera side of the where you can see a screen. It's not as good as a camera, but I was doing a green screen. So,
wow.
There's no filter on there. At least as far as I know. But they were so doubting. And I'm going, why are they suddenly popping up? And then when I respond, because I always try to respond kindly, and just kind of, kindly this is what's going on. And you're welcome to ask any questions. That's it. But here's the thing. They're not allowing themselves to be tagged in comments.
Right.
So I still write it, but I can't tag them. So they're never going to see it. And I'm realizing is this targeted?
Yeah.
Does
it seems to
mean I'm famous?
Yeah, girl, you got that blue check, honey. I can't wait till that blue check turns to a paper check.
Right. You are too funny. Well, before we get going on the topic, I do want to say so much thanks. Nikki and I are so appreciative of so much of the support that we've been getting. If you are not following us on YouTube, please do. We really appreciate it. And you can also see our ridiculousness along with the podcast. But I just want to do a quick shout out and thank you to some of the people that commented and have been interacting. Nikki, do you mind that?
Girl, go ahead. We definitely want to tell them thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to mention last names because I want to, be conscientious of people's privacy. But I want to say thank you to Rhonda M, Donna H, Sandy G, Aura May, Steve V, Eric the Comfort Doctor.
That's
Bob
my baby.
J, Reen, New York City Ginger Cat, Maeve J, XO Irish XO. Thank you so much for interacting with our content and just being there to support. And we're hoping really soon we're going to have a situation where we're going to have a lot more interactive conversations. We want to answer questions. So thank you.
We do appreciate them. Support is real, and they don't have to, but they go out there because a lot of people are shy with commenting, right?
I know.
So we appreciate you guys, and
yeah, because the more interaction, the more shares, the more comments in general, that really does help our podcast and our channel all the more and get the word out. So, and I like to think we have good enough content to help people, and we want to help people. Anyways, today, Nikki and I want to talk about how to identify your passion, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of hobbies or are multi-passionate, but they have a hard time really. And then there's some people, because I will say this, there was a point in my life where I was like, I'm not interested in anything. I don't know if that's burnout. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I'm not gonna necessarily. Sometimes we are just all over the place. It's not that you're really not interested in anything. You're just probably, it's life. You're probably busy. You're probably just doing all type of stuff. I mean, what point in your life would you say that happened?
That's fair. That's
Mm-hmm.
fair, 'cause I will say that that was during a time that I was just constantly working,
Mm-hmm.
from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed, trying to take care of kids, going through a divorce, like, I had no energy for any
Mm-hmm.
kind of passion.
Absolutely. Right. But your passion were your children, right?
That and, my work, because I really did enjoy it. Um, I really did enjoy it, I enjoyed the interaction, but even then, and I think it does segue into what ultimately was my passion, but
Right.
yeah, it was still a very exhausting time, and it was probably I was feeling kinda dead inside.
Yeah, that
But
happens.
I also think that people get a little confused with passion versus purpose, which Nikki and I are gonna expand a little bit more in another episode.
Mm-hmm.
But, I gotta tell you, Nikki, I heard this person talking about, when you're stuck about what kind of passion or what is something that gets you excited. They
Right.
said to go back to your 8-year-old self. I'm not sure if I agree with this. What did you love when you were 8 years old? What did you wanna do?
It's so funny you would say that because it's true for me. I was the little girl that was braiding the hair on my grandmother's porch at 8 years old.
Oh, see?
I was 8.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 8, now granted, like, my childhood is like a blur sometimes,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure of the exact time, but I knew I loved the performing arts, so to speak. I wanted to be a ballerina, but I winded up in tap dance because that was the only class that my mom could get me into. I did it for like a year or 2, and then my mom's like, "I can't afford to do this." I think at the time it was $5 a week, which was a lot of money,
That's a lot. Yeah.
especially when you had 11 kids. Um, and then ultimately, it was cheaper to just drop off all their kids at
At the rec
CYO
center. Uh-huh.
that CYO basketball. So from the time that I was in 1st grade on until 8th grade, I was in basketball, uh, which was fine. It was nothing I was passionate about, but I loved to sing. I loved chorus in my church. I loved dancing, which now I never dance. If you see me dancing, it's because I'm being goofy. I'm not a dancer. Uh, but yeah, dancing, music. I loved the thought of acting. And I did follow that until my early 20s. I was pursuing performing arts, but I never really took it anywhere because I was so shy and insecure. And let me tell you, that's a brutal industry to get involved in. I mean, as we could tell now with all the different things that are coming out
Yeah.
of, casting couches and, ooh, I don't think I would have survived that.
No, I'm sure it had to be horrible. But another thing that I really liked when around the age group was I love to read. So my grandmother had like these subscriptions. Like I don't know if you remember like Reader Digest and all of that, the magazines. So
Yes.
I used to read and
We used to make Christmas trees out of them.
okay. But what I would do now that I understand that it's what do they call it? The board, vision board. And
Okay.
I used to cut out little pieces of it and just glue it. I had no idea. But whatever I liked, so it was always, oh, I like this car, so I guess
You were doing vision boards before vision boards were a thing.
I didn't know what they were, but I just knew that I used to get in trouble for cutting my grandmother's magazines up. But I would.
Okay.
Yeah. So those
Okay.
were kind of I guess I was actually visualizing what my life, was going to be. But yeah, I've always been into doing hair. It's so funny. And it's a funny thing, a funny story too, how I really got into it when it came to braiding. Now my mom, she was like the neighborhood hairstylist, when the press and curl was back. And she actually would braid hair as well. But I never, like, I couldn't understand the concept. So I went upstairs in the attic one day, and I found this really, I mean, the dowel was old and raggedy, but I just remember that the hair was really wiry. True story. I probably would be scared of the dowel to this moment though, but it was like raggedy. And I just took the hair and I just started braiding it. I ran downstairs like I can braid. And that's where it started.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I mean, I would imagine there's probably some kids that said, "Oh, at 8 years old, I want to be a baseball player,"
Right.
or at 8 years old, I wanted to be a gymnast, whatever.
Firemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It was a
and
lot of people
now,
wanted to be teachers too when we were little.
yeah, I might have wanted to be a nun at one point
Yeah.
because to me, they were like mother figures because I did go to Catholic school,
Okay.
which is kind of funny because my mom was in the convent. But I think that was very short-lived, very short-lived. Yeah. And then I think I went through a phase. I know at 16, I asked my mom if I could be, not 16, I think I might have been a little younger. I asked if I could be in the BOCES cosmetology program at the high school. And my mom told me that good girls weren't hairdressers.
So you had an interest in doing hair for a long time too.
I just liked doing it on my friends and stuff. Naturally, I just like to play with their hair. I like to play with box hair color at the time or
Mm-hmm.
perms. I was perming my own hair at 13. I can't
Okay.
even imagine what kind of
So
mess that was.
so it's been in you. And you
Yeah, it was always in me, but
mm-hmm.
I do think that's part of the creativity and the self-expression. I think
Right.
it's a lot about self-expression.
Right.
I do know. So there is a test online and I can't remember. It's not that I can't remember. I know the spelling of it because it is in I think Japanese or Korean. Isn't this terrible? I'm not even sure. But it's spelled IKIGA. And it's like kind of like a test where you can help you figure out not only your passion, but whether or not this is something you can transform it into a career.
Mm.
Because sometimes you can also be multi-passionate. And they ask questions like, what is it that you love? You know, what then another box is like, what are you good at?
Right.
Then it's, can you get paid for it? Which one of the things can you get paid for? And then what does the world need?
That's important.
I think that's a very important
Yeah,
thing.
because that pulls in the purpose.
Yes. And I think that it does make it very interesting it, in the sense of sometimes we're passionate about something. And let me tell you, it could be something incredibly niche, like incredibly like a small community that really loves to do a certain type of miniature sculpting. I don't know, something. Or
Mm-hmm.
you ever see people that really like dollhouse furniture
Mm-hmm.
and they make it and stuff? I'm pretty sure that's a very tight niche. There's not a lot of people that do it. Um, it doesn't mean that the world doesn't need it. It just means in that particular world, what is it that they're lacking? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
when we're saying, what does the world need? We're not talking about the entire world.
Right.
We're talking about the world of the thing that you're multi passionate about.
Right. Right. I just say when you're trying to find or look for your passion, how to identify it basically. Sometimes we have to take a list of things that we're doing, our hobbies, and the joyful part of it, or even think about some of the things that we were excited about a while ago. You know what I mean? What brought you
Mm-hmm.
joy? So those are some of the things how I felt like, but mine's already always circled back around to beauty, like the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we'll talk about it in another episode, but the purpose behind that. So, it's like, okay, I love this, but it got to a point where, like I said before, I'm passionate about it, but I started not understanding why I was doing it besides the dollar sign, right? I
Yeah.
knew it was a reason because you can have the passion without the purpose or whatever. So those are some of the ways that I found when you're looking to identify it. Those are some things you could do.
I think brainstorming
Yeah.
and writing out as many things as you possibly can that
Mm-hmm.
will give you perspective
Yep.
of the things that have been interesting to
Mm-hmm.
you. I also think that thing that you can do that you'll lose track of time doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's
And I
what
will
I'm.
say this, there have been people that saying, "Oh yeah, but I doom scroll on social media."
Yeah.
Like, does that mean I do social media? No, I think it's about which topics are you doom scrolling?
Mm-hmm. I think that what is that called? Like the flow state or something. I've heard that term
Mhm.
before. Um, wow, that's deep because when you think about that though, you do lose. You look up and it's like, oh my God, I've been doing this thing for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think also another thing that is something to consider is, like, really discover what your top need as a human. You know, there's a lot of different things that we need. We need love and connection. We need growth. We need feeling like contribution,
Mm-hmm.
significance, variety, certainty. Like all of these things are human needs.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are thinking about what thing that is goes on in your life that fulfills that, sometimes that's also another way of identifying. It's almost like reverse engineering,
Right.
where you look at and like I said, we'll discuss more on the next episode about purpose. Sometimes it's reverse engineering where you're going from your purpose to
Your
what it
passion.
is that fits all of that
Mm-hmm.
narrative. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing that you can look at. Um, Also, notice where you spend most of your free time. Where do you spend most of your free time, Nikki?
On my couch.
I mean, I'm sure there's a niche or of a passion for being on your couch.
Oh, my darn couch, honey. That's my free time.
I have to admit, like my free time, we all know we work, we're done with work, we want to decompress. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that's like watching Netflix, though I won't subscribe to Netflix because, we might have been using somebody else's account for like decades and now they won't let us. So, but,
But
um, but I'm saying like, we do decompress in some ways, but outside of that, sometimes on the weekend or anything. I do love to I love plants. I love
yeah,
working on
you like
plants.
nature too.
I do like nature. I just like to keep sometimes at an arm distance.
Right. Yeah. But you know
But
what I do? I like to read. I during my free time I do. I like puzzle games, Minecraft games. Those are the type of things that I
this
do.
is the funny thing. The next thing I
Yeah.
was going to say is patterns. But before I get to that, I was going to say with this free time, I was going to say oftentimes one of my favorite things to do is there is actually an art community in my local area. It's called O'Galley Art
Hmm.
District. And I do enjoy going there and seeing the community things of like there's a garden there that people volunteer to just work on. There's some art galleries where they do events where you bring in people from the community and learn a skill set, or they just all get together, a whole bunch of different types of artists, and they just spend a couple of hours working on their craft side by side, even though one might be a graphic engineer and
Cool.
the other one might be, a sculptor. That's with I'm gonna give a shout out Derek Gores, who is a global artist, like he is well known, has that opened up there, and I think it's amazing. But
I
there's a
like your footage that you do. It's amazing. Yes.
they have some great events, and I love that community vibe as well. I like being a part of something that is lifting up others and really giving them an opportunity to grow. But with the patterns, that's what I was going to say. Our brain loves patterns, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes that can be a clue as to what really matters to us. And I had once said to you, and even what we were just talking about, I have gone from different industries. I've worked in the fitness industry. I've worked in the beauty industry. I've worked in a lot of different things. I've been in mommy groups and, PTA stuff back in the
That's your
day.
theme. That's the theme aspect of it
The
too.
theme was always community.
Mhm.
It was being involved with other people. So looking at patterns that you have will sometimes help you figure out where your passion may lie. Do you have any resounding themes that you have or like patterns that you have in your life that kind of culminates everything together to
It was more or less like people, like the younger people, younger folk. And it started because I'm the oldest grandchild. So it was always about helping somebody. Um, that's my thing. Even now to this day, even standing behind a chair, I'm Auntie Nikki. Like if you're under 40, I'm Auntie Nikki. So that's been my thing, like community. It's always
that's
been
a
about
great one.
community. Yeah.
It's weird. Well, I think this is what has always attracted, like not attracted, but I'm saying what always was something
But
that
I
was a
believe that that's how you and
unifying theme
I,
between you and me.
yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
You and I always connected on that.
Hmm.
I also think an interesting way of looking at what could be your passion is what is your greatest fear in some ways? And let me explain. I want you to envision this, Nikki, because it's a real thing. And all of you. If you have your job and everything, has there ever been something that you're like, I wish I could quit my job and do X, Y, and Z, but you're too afraid to? Think about that. Now, it could be like, I wish I can quit my job and walk dogs. Why walk dogs? Is it because you love dogs? Because you feel great about dogs? Like, believe it or not, there's people that that's something they really, really love, but you would be too afraid to do that, right? Let's say you work a corporate job and you want to go walk dogs. But think about it. That could potentially be something that you're passionate about because you're
Right.
thinking about it.
And I think the good thing with me is that my part-time, anything that I've done part-time was never my passion.
Mm.
I sit in my passion for over 36 years, and that's where it's been wonderful for me.
See, you're lucky like that. There's some people in this
I
world that
know.
just kind of identify it and they run with it. And
But I also believe too the entrepreneurship in my family, that's kind of like what it just all kind of came together.
yeah.
And even when I did do part-time work, it was still at a chain salon
Mm. And it's
or a community pay base, where I'm still loving on people.
right. Right. And I think
Because
that
I'm
all of
telling
that.
you, I say it all the time. I'm never ever going to be in a place where I'm unhappy. I do not
I
do
mean,
well.
I feel like it's normal to have moments that you're unhappy.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about immediately gone.
What do you mean?
Seriously. Like if I'm working in a job in an environment where it's toxic, I can't do it. Now I've
Mm.
had several little small jobs before. Believe it or not, I worked at this was before the dating apps and all of that. It was the Great Expectations was the name of it, and it was like a dating um
Nikki, were you a matchmaker?
well, kind of, sort of, but it was like a membership type thing. And I'm talking about these people had big money, but I used to have to run a criminal background check, and then we'll do like the party planning and stuff like that. So these were like really, really rich people. Now we're talking back in 1996, where the top membership was 5478.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then what made me kind of pull away from it because most of them were bitchy creeps. You know what I
Ah!
mean?
Did you find a lot of I mean, I know you can't always say everything, but did you find a lot of interesting thing in those background checks?
Oh my goodness.
That's always fun.
But that's probably why they were by themselves.
Maybe.
Yeah, because they probably had to leave town, most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and we're talking what, that's 26 years ago. I'm like, nah, I can't do this. Yeah, it was pretty good money though, part time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
again,
was
it was still around community, right?
right, well, that is true. That is true. And in many ways empowerment because you're empowering somebody,
Hmm.
to make a choice that's informed.
Right.
But I was gonna also say as much as I keep thinking of my kids, and a lot of times when you're younger, you're kind of in this journey where you're trying to figure out, like, what should I do? Where should I go? What's the thing that I really wanna go for? And if there is anything that I can recommend, because I do know there are some people that just genuinely don't know, like,
Hmm.
what should I pursue? Like, like, they could think about stuff, but like we were saying before, even with the 8-year-old child, a lot of firemen, a lot of
Hmm.
policemen, and when you grow up, you're like, "Yeah, I don't really wanna do that. That
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily my passion. I just really like that."
Hmm.
Um, I think, for all you know, it could have been something that has to do with leadership, that
Right.
might have been part of it, or a hero, you
Hmm.
know? However, I keep telling my kids the best thing that you can possibly do is try a lot of things out. Things
Hmm.
that you never would think of doing, whether it be, going on a nature hike, going to a baseball field, sitting in the stands. It could be, learn to knit,
Hmm.
go take an art class, go try singing, join a club. Get yourself out there, or even just going to an art museum. Excuse me.
It's
Going to an
okay.
art museum. Maybe you know somebody that has an interesting career in, say, maybe it's a mechanic and you want to go and shadow them and see what they do. Get yourself involved in a lot of different things,
Hmm.
and you're going to have that opportunity to really identify what clicks with you. Have you ever done that, Nikki? I feel
Did.
like I never really, really, really did that, but I think also when we were younger, we were more so forced to do that kind of stuff. I find like nowadays
Well,
a lot of kids are,
I think growing up, I was just nosy. So I wanted to get involved with a lot of different things. Like, seriously, so I would be at the rec. I played basketball. I'm 5'3". I played basketball. It was like we had this warrior at thing. It was like high steppers in high school. I tried that. But none of that type of stuff really interested me.
mm,
I would do it for a little bit. It's like, no, I don't want to do it. I was in now choir. I really liked choir. That was pretty cool. But what I did like, honestly, was volunteering at the um we had, like, it wasn't a nursing home, like assistant living. Now I love that.
oh
But
wow.
again, I would have the rollers and I would be doing their
See
hair.
there.
Yeah. So it was always like, yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
I used to take my kids to a lot of different things. I used to organize like little cheap or free field trips with the kids and then also their friends where we would go to a lighthouse, we would go to a museum, something that was like $1, a local
Hmm.
one that's owned by the county, or go to some kind of there was in on Long Island, they have this place called the Bethpage Historical Society. It's a place where restoration. They basically took a lot of old houses because you got to remember Long Island. My town that I grew up in was established in the 1500s, like pre United States. So there's
Spooky.
it's a lot of old stuff there. So they took buildings from a lot of different locations and they put it on this property. So that way you can go from house to house or schoolhouses or general stores and see what it was really like. Like my kids
Nice.
love that. And I know my brother-in-law used to do a lot of that stuff with his daughter, and she ended up being a history teacher. Like, she was obsessed with history after that. He loved showing her that stuff. So, you never know. You never know.
Hmm. But the key
And
thing too is once you do, like after doing all of those type of things, it's like educate yourself on it. It's important to know, like, okay, if this is, let me dig deep into this thing, and also how much you're willing to sacrifice once you find your passion.
yeah, no, that's true.
So, yeah,
That
so
is
it's a
true.
lot of different things that, identifying. And then sometimes you're all over the place, like, just trying to figure it out. Now, let me ask you, do you feel that you can be passionate about multiple things?
Well, yes, because there's a lot of different things that I really, really do enjoy, and
Hmm.
I put a lot of focus in. Like I said, my plants, I love my plants.
Hmm.
Is it as extensive as it could be? No, but I'll be the first one that when I'm on like a nature path or whatever, I'm like,
I want to sneak
I
one of
wanna
those little
I
pieces.
wanna clip. God forbid I'm at somebody's property and I'm sitting there thinking, I wanna clip their plants. Would they notice? That's an issue. But, um, I love plants, but not to the extent of what some other people do. I think it's partially because I really don't have, the proper location, so to
Yeah.
speak. My property, it's hard to do some of the stuff I would love to do, like vegetables and fruit,
Hmm. Yeah, you got
because
a
we're
lot of.
right by a preserve and a lot of animals would come out.
Hmm.
So the community doesn't like that.
Right.
So that's problematic. But yeah, I mean, I love that. I love art. I love art. I love collecting art more than actually doing it, because I love it when I find a small artist that might be selling at a arts and crafts show, or find something at a thrift shop that obviously someone
That's what I was
painted.
gonna say. You are so great at making something, like making you're transforming some things. Like,
I do love thrifting.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I do love thrifting. You know what it is? I think I spent so many years just making do with when it came to clothing. I got functional. I was very much into functional. I wore a lot of black because trying to mix and match colors was complicated, and you wanted to make do with what you have. And also, as a parent, I normally had baby food on my shirts. You didn't want anything that was
right.
going to get destroyed, or honestly, I probably didn't have that much of a self-esteem, so I didn't really get into it. I would look at it longingly. And now in retrospect, I realize going to the thrift shops, I could have been looking for higher quality product, or designer clothing. You can find that very, like, you would be shocked at what you can find at a thrift shop for just virtual dollars, a few dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that back then, but I didn't pursue it because I sat there thinking, well, that's not practical.
Right.
And what would people think? And now I'm in a place where I'm like, screw it, I don't care. Like, this is me expressing myself artistically. So I look for the quality stuff, because now I understand the quality stuff is usually going to last a lot longer.
Mm-hmm. It's
Um,
so funny. One of my clients, when I first moved down to the Carolinas, this was back in 2002, and I had a lot of clothes. She had three boys, and I had a lot of clothes for my for my two boys. And I asked her, I said, well, my boys only won maybe once or twice, because they grew so fast. And I asked her, I said, what size do your boys wear? She said, I don't know. I said, girl, I go to the thrift store and buy their clothes because
mhm.
first, they've been washed, you know how they wear. I was like, okay. She was like, give them to me.
Yeah, once upon
And that was
like
smart.
when I was younger, I don't know if this company still exists, but back in the day, there was this place called Once Upon a Child, and I would
Yeah.
get stuff for the kids there because it was
Yeah.
very well taken care of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and they really made sure they weren't putting stuff out that was like had poop on it and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it, and I love experimenting with colors and patterns. And I made a post the other day of me with a big giant hat I found. And now I want to find all the hats because that was so much fun. It's very dramatic. And the funny thing is, and I'm going to tell you a really funny secret, and I feel like we're getting off topic, but hey, this is life. I was thinking the other day about how whenever I go to the thrift shop, one of the first places I'd be like, aside from furniture, I just like looking at what furniture people are getting rid of. I almost never get it, but I love, for some reason, seeing what they have there. The next place I go to is dresses. I used to never wear dresses, but you know why I look at the dresses? Not only can you find some really high quality that are donated in there, that if you really wanted to, you can even get it fitted at a seamstress for only a few dollars, and they're cheap. But I'm lazy. I don't want to mix and match things. So if
Makes
I'm
sense.
getting
Yeah.
pants, I have to mix and match it with a certain shirt. And don't get me wrong, I will do that. I'm doing that today.
Mm-hmm.
But wearing a dress, really, it's just about accessories, and you can go really fun with that. So
Mm-hmm.
depending on the dress that you get, you can find something that's an interesting shape. The truth is, I'm comfortable in a dress. I can be, sorry, goodness, maybe I need to take a sip. I can be cool in a dress when it's hot. I can be warm and like layer on sweaters with it because, why not? But I can mix it up, and it's just, I don't have to take 2 pieces or 3 pieces. Usually it's just the dress and maybe a sweater or a blazer if needed. So it's like, it's easy. And
I
it can
think
make an
that's your
impact.
passion. You're kind of telling us what your passion. I think I've already analyzed what your passion is.
I like creative expression
Mm-hmm.
in the
Artistic.
way we look. So that's,
Mm-hmm. It's all
yeah,
around
sure, it's
beauty, though,
thrifting, but
right?
it's also hair, it's skin,
Mm-hmm.
it's makeup.
It is.
It's having fun with it, and then having the confidence to be able to express that, express that without feeling like you have to worry about what the rest of the world thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure people look at me strange.
But you know what? I think that is actually the New York in you too.
You
I'm
think?
telling you,
Because
yes,
I was
because
very insecure in New York.
it's so weird because I followed this on Instagram, and it's like watching people in New York, and some of the like is some of the designs, and I think they're so freaking unique. Like that
Mhm.
New York street style is just
Oh, I love it.
confidence. Like they don't care, and it's
'Cause it's
amazing.
artistic
It
expression.
is. It is. It is.
And also the trends that are out there don't necessarily fit all of our bodies.
Right.
Um,
I, I don't even look at trends anymore. That's so weird. I never been, I can't say that like ninth or 10th grade, I was like a label whore. But after that, I put on whatever. I was the girl, like before it was even thought of, stripes and polka dots or
mhm.
checkers. I think, as a matter of fact, I wore some of that at our first holiday.
Girl, we're gonna have to, like, hop on a whole nother you're gonna have to jump
Yeah,
onto my podcast and have a
yeah,
conversation about this because, like,
yeah.
that's what it's all about. I love that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun when you can just make it fun, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
But that's
But
fashion, though.
that is passion. That
Yeah.
is passion. Look
Yeah.
at that. We just explored all of it.
Yeah. You do. You have to
Anywho,
test out so
I
many different things, you
I
know?
think that there's so many different avenues in which you can explore your passion, and no, you don't have to stick to one thing.
No.
Um, I do think that it's sometimes about looking at like underlying themes. Remember, it's like a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, think about what you really did love at 8. You never know. There might be a nugget somewhere in there if you think about all the different games and things that you played as a kid. I loved playing make believe of everything. And so I think that goes along with my whimsy. I like playing make believe. I'm gonna make believe I'm a fashionista. I'm gonna be all fancy.
Girl.
To my catwalk walk through my hallway past my hallway bathroom. Why not? Living my best life.
You need
But,
mirrors all over your house, though.
but I think that we need to look at all of these different things, and I hope this helped you at least with some starting points of where you can start exploring that if you're not sure. If you're not
Mhm.
sure.
And it's when you identify your passion, it's not always like a quick process. Sometimes you have to explore so many different avenues just to kind of see where it is. Just test it out.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna tell you to go to your bank account and waste a lot of money like I've done
No.
for my children, but just know that
No,
it could
there's
be
always
ever
free
changing.
opportunities. That's
Yeah,
one thing I definitely learned.
yeah, and then
It
as
takes
you
some research and probably a little extra effort, unfortunately.
Yeah, and
But
then as you grow, things change too. As you
yeah,
grow older, things change, and yeah.
I'm a
So,
firm believer when it comes to the kids when they're young, stick with the free stuff and do as many varied things as you can because when they identify the thing that they really do love, then you can spend the money.
right.
But when you start spending money for different things that might interest them, and it turns out that they don't, and you're doing this over and over again, like where do you have the money to really give them the opportunity to really explore something that they love? So yeah, sorry, that was my two
That's
cents.
okay. My boys were just spoiled. It was better. It's like, do
You're
you
too
want to
funny.
go to the salon with me, or do you want this toy? You know.
Mm, right.
So yeah,
So we want to
it's been a
thank you.
good
And
one.
like to next week, we're going to be talking about the differences between your passion. Like what's passion? What the freaking landscapers back again.
Yeah, you trying to keep it
Lord.
clean, girl.
No, it is what it is. But the differences between passion and purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they don't align, which is fine. And also really like how to tell the difference and also ways that you can really go be guided by your purpose,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
because
what
sometimes
that
there
means
is
for your
no.
life.
Sometimes the passion has absolutely no purpose whatsoever. You know.
I wonder
Yeah.
what ones those are.
I could think of one, but we'll talk about it on our next
Okay,
episode.
okay. Uh, Again, if you are not on our YouTube channel, please hop on over, subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment. Tell us what you're passionate about or what you've been exploring. And, we'll give you a shout out on our next episode. We really appreciate you so much. And you, Nikki, you have anything to
I was
say?
like,
What about you? Got anything to say to your
definitely.
friends?
Oh, yeah. We love you guys. We love you so much. We really appreciate you. Please, please, please be sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. That's at The Passionate Pivot. And share with a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And we'll definitely be doing some more shout outs. And of course, our Thursdays are coming. I know we promise you, but we're getting it all together. And we love you. Love you, Danielle.
I love you, Nikki.